Ifeoma was in SS1 when she started making money. With her little savings, she bought sweets and chin-chin, which she stocked in her locker. During break, the whole school would gather to her locker to buy one or two. She is the smoothest salesperson you will ever meet. Her mother was the first person to notice her new venture. Madam Beatty was terrified the day she brought out a large sum of money from inside one of her empty mathematics sets. It was Saturday evening and Ifeoma and her two elder brothers had gone for rehearsal at the church. Madam Beatty searched Ifeoma's bag, trying to find a pen. She was watching something on YouTube and wanted to jot down a very important point. As she brought out the math set, hoping to get a pen from it, she was baffled when, to her greatest surprise, she saw some bundle of money. Where did Ifeoma get this huge sum of money from? Madam Beatty wondered. Her heart skipped a bit as she feared that perhaps her only daughter had started to steal people's money. But whose money could she be stealing? Madam Beatty wondered. Neither herself nor her husband had complained of any missing money. At all times, the money she kept in the drawer of her room has always been the way she kept it. Madam Beatty remained worried all through that evening. She waited impatiently for Ifeoma to come back, but it seemed the clock suddenly started ticking slowly. Oh Lord, let this not be true. Madam Beatty prayed quietly as she waited impatiently for her daughter to come back from the church. Finally, at twilight, Ifeoma was back in the company of her two elder brothers. She called her into her room and locked the door behind her, as she normally does when she has serious cause to settle with any of her children. Ifeoma, sit down, Madam Beatty said, her voice gentle but firm. I want nothing but the truth, she said as she brought out the math set and opened it before her. How? How did this money get here? Madam Beatty demanded. Sorry, Mom. I wanted it to be a surprise to you, Ifeoma said casually. I've been doing business selling sweets and chin-chin in my school. Do you remember that 5,000 naira Uncle Kenneth gave me during Christmas when I was still in SS1? Ifeoma asked. So what about the 5,000? Madam Beatty replied, still confused. It was my initial capital, said Ifeoma. But I don't understand, replied Madam Beatty. What kind of a business is it that you are doing in school that have given you 30,000 naira in such a short period of time? I sell sweets and chin-chin during break. My patronage have been pretty high, and doing business is so fascinating. It makes me feel so good all the time. Madam Beatty was not yet cleared. So, who gave you the idea and where do you buy the sweets and chin-chin from? And how is your school authority not frowning against that? Madam Beatty asked. Well, it just started as a game, replied Ifeoma. After Uncle Kenneth gave me the 5,000 naira and you told me I should use it to buy myself what I needed, I thought about it. How fascinating it will be for me to turn this 5,000 naira to a 50,000 and the lessons I will learn along the line. I looked it up on YouTube and then I drew my business plan and went to work. Wait a minute, Ifeoma said, as she went to her wardrobe and brought out a fancy bag. She opened the first zip and brought out an even bigger bundle of money than Madam Beatty had found. Madam Beatty gasped, opening her mouth wide. She then opened another side zip and brought out her business plan. Madam Beatty was exasperated. Since the past 4 months, I've made 113,500 naira. Ifeoma brought out her record books. Madam Beatty wanted to say something after looking up her business plan, her record books, and counting her money, but she knew she needed time. She needed time to go through what she's seeing. Perhaps she even needed a counselor to help her out. She has been a teacher for 15 years now, I have handled many students, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But on this particular case of ifeoma starting business at 14, she is very sure she needs advice from someone who is wiser and more experienced. The next morning, she was at her principal's office. Mrs. Agnes is the principal of St. Louis Metropolitan School. She is a very down-to-earth, wise and successful woman. Most of her family lives abroad and she often travels there from time to time for vacation. Amongst Madame Beatty's circle of friends, she is the most exposed. Madame Beatty waited patiently outside the principal's office till she was done attending to one of the parents. Sit, sit. Ifeoma, the principal said heartily. You said you'd like to see me this morning. I hope all is well. Yes, all is well, pal. But your friend here is a bit confused. I just wanted to know your opinion on this matter. My 14-year-old daughter is doing business in her school. Madame Beatrice started narrating her recent discovery from her daughter Ifeoma. She also showed the business plans and the record booklets to the principal. What do you have to say about this? Asked Madame Beatty. The principal, Madame Agnes, adjusted her glasses, looking over the business plan and the record leaflet. You said she made 113,500 naira within these 4 months, and this is her daily record book. The principal paused and then said, Your daughter is a business genius. She's so brilliant. Don't stop her or brush her ventures aside, as most Nigerian parents would do. Rather guide her aright and watch her soar unimaginable heights as far as business and management is concerned. For instance, you know it's against the school rules and regulation for a student to sell anything in school. That's why she sells it secretly during break when she won't be caught. So, figure out how she can do business after school hours and during weekends. Have an open-heart discussion with her and help her explore her business prowess instead of stifling it. Madame Beatty was happy that she have a good, reasonable, and well-exposed friend like Mrs. Agnes, the principal. She thanked her immensely and took her leave. Mr. Uzoma is an engineer who works in the construction company and comes back during the weekends to spend time with his family. That weekend, when Mr. Uzoma came back, Madame Beatty excitedly shared with him what had been going on. What nonsense! Mr. Uzoma thundered. Which kind of business will someone who is only 14 years old be doing? She should just make sure she concentrates on her sciences and becomes a medical doctor. If not, this house will not contain me and ifeoma. Madame Beatty was surprised. She is passionate about business, especially about sales. What I would do is to simply incorporate a business on her behalf and make it a platform for her to explore her passion and to excel. It will be a joint venture and I will provide all the help and guidance she needed instead of shutting her passion up. But Mr. Uzoma was the more annoyed. If you want to do business, honey, go ahead and do business, but leave my daughter out of this. Let her concentrate on her sciences and become a doctor, period. If not, you will be the one to sponsor her in business school. I can only use my money to sponsor her in medical school, and that's it. Meanwhile, Ifeoma was already in SS1 and loves economics, business studies, accounting and commerce, but dislikes physics, chemistry and biology. Madame Beatty was torn between 2 opinions, but she followed what she thought was right to hone her only daughter's passion and equip her with all the skills she thinks will help her become best in business. After an open-heart discussion, therefore, Madame Beatty and Ifeoma decided to take the business out of the school premises, since it's against the school rules and regulation to sell anything in your school. After a careful thought and deliberation, they finally decide to make and brand popcorn, which they can supply to the stores and supermarkets around after school and during weekends. It's my daughter's passion, and it's my duty to protect and nurture it, Madam Beatty said to herself as she reassured herself that she is on the right track. Ifeoma on her own part swung into action, choosing an organic, well-designed package rather than the popular nylon packages. Every Saturday morning, very early, before the sun becomes hot, Ifeoma would approach the local stores and supermarkets to pitch her ideas. Armed with samples and her infectious enthusiasm, she quickly won over store owners and managers of supermarkets. They were impressed by the unique flavor and the attractive packaging and agreed to stock her popcorn on their shelves. Words of ifeoma's popcorn spread like wildfire. Customers loved the variety of flavors and the quality of the product. Social media played a significant role in her business growth. They grew a page where customers shared their experiences. Many of the customers praised ifeoma's ingenuity. Her popcorn became a must-have snack. The demands also skyrocketed, and they began to make very big profits, which was all accrued to ifeoma's bank account. But Mr. Uzoma was still indignant. You and your mother have boycotted me in this house. You want to study business administration? Better prepare to sponsor your school fees at the university. I repeat again, I can only pay school fees for you to become a medical doctor. Any other plan remains your plan, and you have to see to it. All efforts made by Madam Beatty and Ifeoma to get to terms with Mr. Uzoma proved abortive. Finally, Ifeoma began to do sciences to please her father. She found it very difficult because she had no natural flair for it. She studied very hard and was able to credit her sciences after attempting it twice at her WAEC level. She left the business she and her mother had built and began studying her sciences in order to please her father. Now you are talking. My first daughter is a first-year medical student at the University of Calabar, Mr. Uzoma would brag to his friends. Ifeoma studied so hard, trying all she could to bag a medical degree in order to please her father. She worked extremely hard and was able to pass her first-year examination. But Ifeoma was unhappy with herself. Despite her passing her first examinations at the medical school, Ifeoma still felt a void in her life. She missed all the things that makes life worthwhile. Every day, she thinks of the business she had built and how much fun it will be for her to go to the university to study her dream course, business administration, as she practices her business along. During her vacation, Ifeoma went back to her business. Her passion was ignited. Once more, after some weeks of sales, Ifeoma could not sleep. She considered her days at the medical school but a waste of time. Finally, without telling anyone, Ifeoma applied to change her course from medicine to business administration. She soared seamlessly, combining her practical business with her academics. But as time went on, Ifeoma could no longer hide a thing. She first told her mother, who then told her father. Mr. Uzoma was devastated. But by this time, Ifeoma had moved ahead to pay her fees with the money she realized from her business. On the day of her graduation, Ifeoma graduated with a first-class honors in business administration and was featured in the state television as not only the overall best, but the only student who built a solid business while in school. She soon expanded her brand from popcorn to crunchies and bites. She was a multi-millionaire by the time she graduated from school, and after 1 year more of total dedication to her business, Ifeoma decided to spoil her parents by sponsoring them on a vacation to Europe. She spoiled her parents with a lavish vacation and also bought a glass house for her father. Mr. Uzoma was extremely happy as they did the housewarming. His words flowed amidst tears of joy. To all parents out there, it is our duty to guide our children and most especially to give them an environment where their dreams can thrive. Do not impose your own dreams on your child, but encourage them to do their best in their own dreams and aspirations. Dear viewers, what are your takes on this story? Please share with us on the comment section below and kindly subscribe as we load you with lots of interesting and educative tales on African Tales by Oma.